panel this afternoon. And of course, they represent diverse sectors. So it's going to be an interesting discussion. Over the course of the next 2 hours, we're going to discuss some pressing issues, especially in the HR and recruitment field, of course. Let's really break this down into 3 areas. One is understanding the problem as it stands today. The other, of course, the solution by way of industry-academia partnership. And what we're doing right now, is it working? What more can be done? So let's really begin with the first question, understanding today's situation, because we have students, academia, as well as the industry. Where exactly do we stand right now? We have 2 very pressing issues. One is, of course, recruiting talent and providing for their training. And the second is retaining them, because we're seeing high levels of attrition within the first 1 to 1.5 years. I think we have a lot of people from manufacturing today. So Rajiv, let me begin with you. What is your understanding of the situation we're facing right now?
See, the current situation has to be firstly understood, that whether the solutions can be found provided we diagnose the problem, because then we'll be ending up, sorting out only the symptoms, not the disease. Employability and kind of attrition and training and development, all these issues can be taken in stride, provided the perspective is clearer to us. I would feel the current challenge is that, of course, a lot of upskilling and new skilling and issues like that of competence enhancement, of skill upgradation, and all are very, very relevant. Major issue that is being faced is that of unemployability. Not that people are not being, there are not enough educational institutions. Of course, there would always be a need for having more and more such institutions. But the point is that wherever they are, unemployability is a major crisis, in fact, because people say that students who pass out are not actually, I would say, industry ready, but career ready in any sense. This because of 2 reasons. Firstly, because our education pattern, the curriculum itself does not address many issues, and it actually, provided other things are right, it focuses too much on the intellectual capabilities alone, the IQ quotient, the intellectual quotient. The emotional, the spiritual, and the others are left out. But that's a higher level issue. The basic issue would always be that the whole pattern of education, is it making you literate or educating you? When it is educating you, it has to necessarily make you suiting or suitable to the requirements. The requirements today are very different from what they probably were, say, just about 3 to 4 years back. In the current context, linear extrapolation has died its death. So the kinds of arithmetical solutions are not the only ones which are relevant, because there are now many organic and kind of, solutions which have to be found out to be addressed in the larger context of the economy, the global economy, and the crisis that it is facing today. Ambiguity and uncertainty is still the most relevant, along with the market turbulence, the factors which have to be addressed. But that apart, for the, say, the managerial level situations and positions of leadership crisis at the top, even at the entry level, this becomes very relevant, because unless and until one has been taught from the very beginning to learn about managing life rather than just mere career. Now that actually comes down as the major issue which needs to be addressed today, that are we making them just career ready, which itself has a lot of problems, because the industry probably would require something different. People with different skill sets, with enhanced skill sets, with more technology focus, and so on and so forth. So that the day they come, they kind of, where the rubber meets the road, they start running, up and running. But that's a different issue. The point is that they'll not run beyond if they are fundamentally not different.
So they need to be exposed to real life situation.
Exposed to real life situation and the challenges more than the comfort of a classroom. So that probably is the starting point, which if we can address to begin with, we'll then be able to diagnose the root causes, because unless we address this root cause, which is the disease, that we are producing people who are literate or people who are educated, and then they can be industry ready and all. That's a matter of short-term training, long-term training in certain cases. It can be sorted out, but the basic disease has to be addressed.
Right. Do you agree with that? Employability versus
manufacturing sector, I think I have a slightly different point of view. Maruti, we normally take roughly about 500 such professionals, young professionals every year. And whenever I go to some such discussions, we start creating a picture as if there is a big crisis. First of all, last 10 years, what I have seen at Maruti, 500 guys getting inducted every year for a manufacturing sector diploma engineers, fresh engineers, MBAs, a very big number. They operate in 50, 60s and we operate in 500. And we are reasonably fine in terms of the talent which is coming out, in terms of their capability, in terms of their performance. At least last 10 years, I have seen it by myself. People who have grown into specialist jobs, people who have grown into generalist jobs, people reasonably good colleges, maybe 45, 50 engineering colleges pan-India, maybe about 20, 30 management schools across, polytechnics, 30, 40 across the country. They are doing fine. First of all, in my sense, there is no such crisis, whatever. One factor which India should be wary is there is a big, significant demography shift in our country. Majority of the workforce which we are facing now is predominantly below the age of 35. Even next 20, 30, 40 years, India is going to be one of the youngest country in the world. The most youngest country will be South Africa, but to that extent, they don't have a business potential advantage. So we are going to be the youngest country there. In that sense, whether we can look at refining the course curriculum which got established 50, 60, 70 years back, kind of getting carried forward for years. Perhaps there is a need for us to restructure that with the changing business environment, changing business competencies, which will be more helpful going forward. To a great extent, in the Western countries, a basic MBA education is for a guy who's 3 to 4 years, 5 years working experience. We do fresh guys into management education. When there is no work experience, where is the management education, first of all? They only become learners after getting a management education in India. They start learning only in a work situation. So that can be a kind of refinement going forward. Second significant part, where perhaps to a great extent we are dealing with this young population, if we don't skill them professionally, this demography dividend, what we call in the country, can become a demography disaster for the country if we don't skill them properly. In that sense, what perhaps we are looking at, that apart from expecting everything from the state, from the government to be done, I think to a great extent, corporate will have to come proactively forward and make some contribution. So right now, Maruti is doing about 21 ITIs we have adopted, and we will be doing 50 ITIs in next 2 years, which we will manage and we will deliver Center of Excellence. The ITIs which we started managing 5 years back, there is a tremendous demand for those young technicians in the corporate world today that just pick them up and take them to the company. To a great extent, that is the kind of measures we should look at. Now, when we look at this gap in our education system, the kind of required skills and competencies with the present day business environment, I think there have been a lot of discussions around this industry academia perspective. But honestly, I have not seen in the last 3 decades a sustained, serious intent and effort in this direction. And let me be very frank and upfront about it. Perhaps in my thinking, a structured initiative with employers' chambers somewhere coming together, lot of corporates coming together, and similarly, such educational institutes forming a kind of a body coming together. And together, if they define a 3-step formula, maybe a 5-year roadmap, that could be one good beginning.
So it's agreed to that, you know, it is industry academia partnership that is going to solve the disease per se. But it's a question of who moves first. We'll discuss that in detail, but also the fact that entry level you know, employees are hired directly from campuses. Is there some sort of a problem there itself? Do you think the model is not working? Do you think campus recruitment in itself needs to evolve further from how it's being done right now?
Let's first look at the demand supply ratio today. I mean, if you just look at the recent article, there are about 8 lakh engineers who passed out. Do we have even 1 lakh jobs? Engineering jobs and engineers jobs, we don't have. So even if those 7 lakh engineers are absolutely great, they are ready, industry ready, career ready, everything. But do we have jobs? Unfortunately, today's scenario, no. So that's the first problem. Now, can the industry or academia partnership or anything like that can solve this problem? Not really. You would have the government, the economic measures what we take, and obviously more more infusion of financial, more inputs of, more investment to the country would obviously generate more jobs. But then we have a situation, I don't think under any circumstances, 1 lakh can become 8 lakhs. So we have a perennial, we have created a problem, we have a monstrous problem which we are not able to manage today. We have a genie out of the bottle today. That's problem number one, which at a government level and as obviously in partnership with the corporate sector, we had to find a solution. Second is about something about what Rajiv also spoke about in terms of battle ready. Out of these even 1 lakh jobs, they are not battle ready. Half of them don't have a very high with different expectation from the corporate sector because they have seen that only from an outsider perspective. And when they get in, it's a different world where you actually have to roll up your sleeves and work. And here I am thinking that, I am an engineer, I am a management trainee, so I would do something fancy office. So mera dost paisa karta tha, wo karta. That's he's gone on a project to London, so I should also be going. No, unfortunately, no. He's one of the hundreds who has gone.
So is that also a problem? And Mr. Deepak, you had a point, it's availability versus employability. That's the debate that's been going on for a while. And also understanding the so-called millennial generation, because they need to be engaged as, it is a now generation. They need to be appeased. They need to be understood what are their aspirations as well.
I'll just touch upon some important data. I think this will throw a lot of lights in terms of the requirement vis-a-vis the current situation we are in. If I look at Indian education system, it's the third largest in the world. Third largest in the world. More than 316 central and state universities are operating. 129 deemed universities, 90 private universities, more than 16,000 colleges. I don't see there is any problem as such. The very purpose is, what is the objective of these institutes? I think the very basic is missing. Most of the institutes as of today have forgotten the very basic, that it is the education system not for the purpose of commercial proposition. It's more for preparing the generation for the taking up jobs or starting the entrepreneurial approach of their own businesses over a period of time. I think that very basic is missing. Second thing is the kind of knowledge which is being imparted to these youngsters. The very, very basic. Some of them is out of context. Some of them have even not having the technology awareness. Nobody has really undergone work experience at the corporates. There is a complete gap. Absolutely. If I look at the demand, as per the study which has been done by NSDC very recently, infrastructure is going to look for 103 million people in next 5 years. 103 million people. Auto and auto components is 35 millions. Building and construction is around 33 millions. And textile and clothing is around 26.2 million.
Auto right now is roughly about 13.5 million only.
So it is going to go up to that long.
This is white collar, blue collar?
No, all put together.
All combined I'm talking about. So the study shows next 5 years, the majority of the job, at least 75% of the jobs will be based on skill sets only.
Yeah.
There will be no generalist, it's all specialists. So if we are producing journalists and looking for them to work in specialist role, there will be a complete misalignment. There will be, apart from this, there are 3 fits which are important, which we normally look at while we go for the recruitment. One is the motivational fit, cultural fit, organizational fit. We can find the organizational fit, but how do I see the cultural fit and the motivational fit? I asked 20 people when I go to the institute, would you like to work at a site which is around 200 kilometers away from the city? Not even 5% people are willing to go to the sites. My industry, power industry, is all connected closer to the sea shores or closer to the major lakes. Now, how do I generate employment for the people at Gurgaon when the sites are at remote places? So that's the kind of situation we are in. Unless and until the motivational fit is there, cultural fit is there, organizational fit we can achieve. And soft skills, people are lack communication skills. They aren't even communicate and converge more than 2 to 3 minutes in English for that matter, which is more of a common language as of today. We find majority of these gaps, especially in the regional areas. In cities, students' profiles are much better as compared to regional areas. So these gaps has to be managed. The problem is too manifold, but I think we need to have a coordinated efforts. The question comes in, government has to take initiative, corporates has to take initiatives, or individuals themselves has to take an initiative. Or we have to go back to the basic, like Gurukuls, wherein the education system has to undergo a complete change, whereby preparing the people for the future.
Right. Mrs. Shastri, you had a point?
Yeah, I'd like to say a couple of points to what Deepak has told. I would like to react to it. One is that there is no question of breadth of requirement, as a breadth of jobs is there. As far as the requirement is concerned, absolutely is available. Whatever the number of institutes and organizations and academia is there, it is available. Only question is how you bridge the gap, what is expected from the industry and what is there in the curriculum. The challenges which is coming in front of us is that first is the knowledge. What is the industry expectation? They are sitting in one side of the corner because multiple organizations are working in the same industry. The requirements are specific to the respective organization wise. The skill sets are, what kind of skill sets are required, what academia is teaching, there is a gap is there. There are a lot of new technology, evolving technologies are coming. How it will be known? Like cyber technology, cyber security, cyber threats, so much is happening in that. Security is the